Hello, and welcome to my series, The Untouchables. And this is about Alfred Zirkle. And he is 83 years old in the year 2025. And my disclaimer is that a lot of his history predates me, and I don't want to take the time to fact check a lot of this stuff, but he has a Wikipedia page, so he came from back east. He was the youngest of 4 children, and by every account that I've ever heard, he was the spoiled baby and his mother's favorite. He played football at Duke University, and his father was a very successful businessman who worked in General Electric. A brilliant man. And I have met all of Fred's siblings, and they are wonderful people. Like, I really like them. So I apologize in advance if this tarnishes the name Zirkle, but anyway, so at the time, so when he played football, he was drafted by the New York Jets. And as I have heard the story told by him, he did not actually get any play time before he blew out his knee, and then he went back to Duke to get his business degree. And do I think that there was nepotism? Yes. Do I think his family and his father were very well connected? Yes. I don't think he was a serious student, but I don't really know. This is a man who is a legend in his own mind. So anyway, the year was probably 1984. I don't have specifics because my mother met him when she was in a serious long-term relationship with a man that my sister and I really loved. So apparently they had this meeting. My Alfred Zirkle was a business partner with my mom's brother, Alan Tigert. And one day they met, and in California, in the Bay Area. And supposedly, my dad and Alan were sitting in the car, and my mom comes walking out, and she's a very beautiful woman, and her brother says to Fred, "That's my sister." And Fred said, "Nobody's sister looks like that." So it's the family joke. I don't know. That's lore. So anyway, like I said, my mom was living together with a man, and on her 30th birthday, which had been in 1983, in January, he proposed to her, and we were really hoping and excited because we had become very close with him. He was a very kind Greek American. His name was John Haniotis, and he was great. We called him Daddy John. So Anyway, I don't know the dynamics of their particular relationship, but at the time that my mom met Fred Zirkle, he was known as Washington State's most eligible bachelor. According to my mom, he had a net worth around $43 million. And that was back in those years, and I don't even know how net worth is calculated. He had one of the largest profile divorces and in the state, and his and that was his second wife, Paula Zirkle, and I guess she made out like a bandit. I don't know how long they had been divorced, but Paula had one daughter, and I don't know if that Paula couldn't have more kids or she didn't want more kids. I don't really know. The way that Vivienne, and that's their daughter, the way Vivienne told me the story was that that they were even getting ready to adopt, and sometime Fred ended up meeting Mormon missionaries and had joined the church, and his wife didn't want to get baptized. I think it was in the discussions, and it was something about the temple, and that was maybe, this is what Vivi said, and of course, I don't know what age she was when they told this story, but it was decided that they were going to that he was going to divorce her, and I don't think Paula ever wanted to get divorced, and I don't know how long they had been divorced before he met my mom. Now, a little backstory. So he was a recent convert to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I believe it was in 1984 that they got married. They had a temple wedding in Salt Lake City, and so I think it was devastating for Vivian, and but we so myself, I am the oldest daughter of Elizabeth Tykert Zirkle, and my sister Candace Beckwith Zirkle is 2 years younger than I am, and we met Vivi and Fred for the first time in 1984, and it was just a really fun 3 days. We met them at the airport. They stayed at a hotel. I was 11 at the time, and Vivi was 7, and I was excited. I'm the kind of person that it was like, oh, the more the merrier, and we had a great time. He took us to one of my favorite places, which is, we lived in Pleasant Hill, California, and we went to a place in Santa Clara. I don't think it exists anymore, but it's called Marriott's USA. It was a theme park, and we went on rides and got, whatever. I don't know if we got stuffed animals, but it was just 3 days of fun, us meeting him the first time, and excited. Vivi was is a very beautiful girl, and she had long blonde hair, and I felt really bad for her because the rides. She yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, that must have been hard. When we first met her, I remember at the airport, she was telling us she was a model, and it seemed very glamorous. And so, yeah, we were excited. And I don't think that we saw each other again until we all flew to Salt Lake for the wedding. And then May of 1984, we packed up our belongings in a U-Haul and we moved to Idaho, to a place that was very tiny called Rathdrum, Idaho. And it was a huge ranch in the mountains. And I know my mom wasn't thrilled with moving there. There were multiple things she didn't like about it, that it had been very personalized and decorated, like by his previous wife, and who had done a hand-painted mural all over the playroom walls. And my mom ordered like silk wallpaper and just painted over this mural that had fairy tale characters on it. That was my mom's project for 7 months. She was remodeling this whole place, and with Laura Ashley, like wallpaper and matching like bedspreads, and Vivi had her own room. We called her Vivi. And anyway, I'm going to tell you, that was the best thing that had happened to me for a long time. Those 7 months moving to Idaho, because we inherited my Fred's sister lived there on the mountain, and she had a farm ranch that I guess was about a mile away, on a dirt road when we walked. And there were 3 daughters that they had. So we had 3 new cousins, and they were, and the new aunt, her name was Ellen Zirkle, and she was married to a Norwegian. His name was Per, and Larson, and they had a daughter, Camilla, that was just a grade above mine, and then Siri, and she was a year below mine, and then Yana, who was Candace's age, and they had a long history of playing with, and familiar with Vivi, and I mean, that summer was amazing. We were up on a ranch, and we didn't see much of Fred at all. And he had an office in Spokane, Washington, which was a little more than an hour away. I mean, maybe back in the day, you could just drive as far or as fast as you wanted on the roads. I don't know. But it was adventure and exploring. Somebody who had grown up in the Bay Area of San Francisco, and everything was an adventure. And these cousins just were exciting and brilliant, and we had so many adventures, and they had great imaginations, and they would do. I remember my cousin Yana. She once had I don't know, she didn't call it a yard sale, but like she invited us to a sale. Like there were no other people for miles and miles. So we went to her room, and she had like price tags on everything, and we could, trade to get these things. And it was a lot of fun. But most days we would walk to, they'd say like, where do you want to go swimming today? And we had lakes, and we had we have like just a million places to go and swim. There was Twin Lakes that was the closest to this ranch, and then there was Spirit Lake. It would be a much longer walk, and then I don't know, we called it Crystal Pond. It was like a big swimming hole that that Fred had built by damming water flow on this massive, I mean, I don't know, it was over 1,000 acres. I don't know how big the ranch was, but it was huge, and we were just very isolated. So there were apple trees, there were orchards, and we would climb trees and eat apples. It was, there were, you had several barns all over the property, and there's a motorhome, so we'd play in the motorhome. We'd play in the top parts of the barns. So I don't, around that time, I know Fred's father had started a company. It was called Keytronic in 1969, and his name was Louis Zirkle Sr., and he also had a house in the area. Like, it was just kind of a family, I don't know, homestead. It was kind of on this mountain by itself, and so Ellen and Per had worked at Keytronic for quite some time, and I am not sure if that is when Fred was working at Keytronic yet. I don't recall exactly. He was an angel investor and venture capitalist, and he had an office in Spokane. It was called Venturesome Capital. And if you imagine you're, 11 and you have the whole, you moved from a city that was dangerous. You couldn't even go, trick-or-treating, suddenly to a remote mountain, and you have lakes, and you have cousins, and you run, and you play, and you ride bikes, and you can do just about anything. That was so fun. And so, yeah, I wasn't really paying a ton of attention to the grown-ups, and they had their own thing. When Vivi would come and she'd have time to spend with us, I would be excited, and I'd write out her name in pine cones, excited for her to come. I think it was, it was fun. And I know it was an adjustment for everyone. I think it was a hard time for my mother wanting to work on this project, and I think Fred had to travel a lot for work. It had been decided by the adults, basically, that we were going to be legally adopted, and my name is Alexis, and I had been born Alexis Howell, and my mom and Fred used threats against my father because I think he had not paid child support in some time, and he was in a position where he had to agree that we could be adopted. And this was mostly for optics for Fred. He had this vision of, sitting on a church bench. He wanted a bunch of kids, and he wanted, he didn't want to be known or seen as I don't know, as a stepfather, and wanted us to look like and like a, I don't know what the right term is. He wanted us to look like a unified group and maybe avoid negative stereotypes of the term stepfather. So anyway, we started the school year, and for me that was my 6th grade year, and then partway through the year, we were partway through the school year, at least in Rathdrum, this was the 6th grade was in a tiny schoolhouse by itself, and it was only the 6th grade, and so we were in sometime in like November or so. I guess it would have to be earlier. One night, my dad, or